Today, every day, small cap investors visit Agoracom knowing this is the day to discover the world's next great company, to have their dreams come true. That's why I take to the open road, to find them, to tell their stories, to engage them, to bring them to life, because they want to connect with you from your office, your phone, your home, anywhere. Agoracom, find your dream.
Welcome to Beyond the Press Release from production of Agoracom, in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives about recent important news that they've announced. With us today, I'm ecstatic to have back Peter Pascali. He's President and CEO at PyroGenesis Canada. The company trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the stock symbol PYR. Now, for those of you who are new to the company, PyroGenesis, one of my favorite tech conglomerates in the small cap space of all time. Just a couple things for you to back that up. They're a TSX Venture 50 company, a world leader in advanced plasma processes. That means more than just lip service. Their technology is already in use on U.S. aircraft carriers and successfully tested by DARPA to destroy chemical weapons. On the titanium, moreover, they've got titanium powder side for advanced 3D printing, where they've already received major orders and interest from some of the world's biggest companies, including NDA, some of the world's biggest and largest airplane engine manufacturers. And they're also nominated as Materials Company of the Year at the 3D Printing Industry Award. So that's how successful they are. And finally, their DROSRITE system, which is probably the one most of you will least understand, but you're going to want to understand after this, is already achieving great success around the world. The company had $1.4 million in revenues in Q2, $2.1 million in Q1, and just announced a $750,000 contract just a few days ago. Peter, welcome to the show. Welcome back.
Glad to be back, George. Glad to be back.
Well, we love this one. Big news. PyroGenesis has entered into a DROSRITE tolling, memorandum of understanding with a very large Japanese trading house.
Huge.
That's incredible news, because to me, third-party validation, as we've talked about here before, is everything. It can't be just you thinking you have a great system. Who else thinks that? Before we get into the details, give us first a layman's overview of what DROSRITE is and what you guys do there, so people can understand how important it is in the industrial world, and then let's move into the details of this deal.
Sure, George. This is probably one of our simplest technologies to understand. Simply put, in the aluminum industry, a waste stream is created when the hot aluminum comes off out of the smelter. It comes in contact with oxygen, and there's a dross that is formed. And that's considered to be a waste stream. So they spoon it off, they put it aside, it cools down, but there's valuable metal in there. They like to recover it. And typically the recovery systems use salt. Salt, if it comes in contact with the aluminum smelter, contaminates the batch. So effectively they have to process it off site by a third party. We have developed a system called DROSRITE. It's a patented technology. And what we do is we don't use salt. We're able to operate on site, capture the dross hot, recover the aluminum hot, return it hot, significant cost savings. More importantly, for a very conservative industry, George, we have up to 20% higher recovery of aluminum for the smelter. Typically, we've been seeing 1-year paybacks or less for the smelter for this system.
Yeah, and you've already had great success with it. It's not just an idea. You're having great success with it.
Yep. The first system we sold was for about $600,000. It's like an introductory price. As soon as it was completed and fully operational, the same client bought a second system a few months later at around $1.1 million. We just sold another 2 systems to another client between $1 and $1.5 million, and that's our sweet spot, between $1 and $1.5 million right now.
Yeah, so you've got great success. You probably figure, okay, you've got great success, why change it? But you're looking at a new business model, because it looks like your current business model, Peter, is you're selling the system to somebody, saying, here you go, run it, recover your DROSRITE, make your ROI. Is that correct, basically how the current business model works?
That was the original business model, correct.
So this new business model of tolling, explain that to us. How does it differ from the current business model naturally, and how much bigger of a market can that be for you?
Okay. With respect to what tolling is, essentially, in fact, we fell into it. Some smelters didn't want to buy the system. They wanted to stick to their knitting, which was running the smelter. But they said, listen, if you want to toll it on site, be our guest. And tolling effectively is we have our system operating at the facility.
Right.
We accept the metal and we run the system basically in that locale. Now, that is the maximum, that is the way we can maximize our return on a system, by us operating it ourselves and sharing those benefits with the smelter. In terms of the business size, we're targeting 3 waste streams: aluminum, zinc, and copper. We're primarily targeting aluminum because that's where we're gaining experience with. What we know about the aluminum dross production is it's over 3 million tons per year of dross that's produced, sorry. Our systems can process about 5,000 tons a year. You do the division, maximum 600 systems. So maximum between, let's say they're $1 million a piece, that's a $600 million business if we did everything with a 5,000 ton. Right. We won't. I mean, it's impossible to get 100% of the marketplace. But let me continue this for a second. Whereas we'd be selling a system for $1 and $1.5 million from tolling, and that's a one-time sale, from tolling, we can generate, we estimate, $1 million on average per system, year in and year out. Now,
if you go back to your same example before, if you caught 100% of the market,
yeah, it's horrendous. It's horrendous. But if you then say, okay, I'm not going to get 100% of the aluminum, but whatever number it is, you also have the zinc and the copper that we haven't. You know, zinc is a little smaller, we think, than we don't have the exact numbers than the aluminum, but it's up there. So I can comfortably say this is a huge business if we can toll. Now that's the challenge, George. You can understand if you're going to go to India, South America, Middle East, you have to understand the local way of doing business. You know, we don't have the market depth and the administration to execute properly internationally.
Yeah, because you've got to have boots on the ground. They understand the different rules and regulations, not just for the metallurgical industry, but also for employees and all sorts of things. That, hence the Japanese trading house. Hence this MOU with the Japanese trading house.
Well, that's it, George. I mean, this is one of the most exciting times in the history of the company. I can't imagine when we had first executed an agreement with the U.S. Navy. Probably it compares. This Japanese, so how we were approaching tolling was very conservatively. We're going to try and do it on our own if nobody else showed up, but we do it with local partners. So you have the situation there is you're managing a lot of local partners around the world. But if you could find a global player that you could partner on every deal, that is the optimum. That's the best solution.
And these guys seem to be it because they've got $5.4 billion in revenue, $2.7 billion profit, and most importantly, they got 400 subsidiaries and affiliates globally that they're managing. That's their network at the end of the day. So you don't have to worry about 400 individual relationships with George in Greece and Russia and somebody else in China and somebody else in South America. It's done.
And more importantly, they have they're extremely well connected with smelters around the world on top of everything else that you just described. So this is I would suggest one of the best, if not the best, strategic partners we could have in tolling to accelerate the business. Instead of us plodding along and trying to learn and make mistakes along the way, it's huge for us. It's huge for the industry because it's game changing for the industry too.
I want to play devil's advocate though for a second. It's an MOU, and in the small cap world, we see MOU signed all the time, primarily in the resources world, right? MOU to explore a project or do whatever the case is, and sometimes almost back in the napkin stuff. Two guys met at lunch and said, "Hey, let's do an MOU." Right?
Yeah.
How is that different? And then the second question I have is a follow-up to that, because I'm presuming there is a very good difference, is this is a $5.4 billion a year company. why are they doing business with Pyro on the DROSRITE side at the end of the day? Because they've got to move the needle. This is me talking, not you, but I know from my understanding of large conglomerates, a $5 million a year, operation isn't even going to get them to pick up the phone, let alone enter into an MOU. So on the devil's advocate side, why you? But on the great side is, does this really mean what we think it means, and how big this could be?
Yeah. So I agree with you. George. MOUs not typically, but oftentimes are written on the back of a napkin in an airplane between two people who are, let's say, junior players in the business.
Right.
When an MOU actually is an agreement, it has terms and conditions and clauses that you have to respect. So it's an agreement of sorts. A multi-billion-dollar company does not take the time to enter in an MOU
right.
willy-nilly. What an MOU does, it articulates how we're going to go forward to the next phase. So we're all on the same page, and we can do it together. Now, what the MOU does is effectively articulate how we're going to move forward in some sort of a joint venture. So what we want to do is look at the opportunities that we have at Pyro right now, choose some or all, and articulate how we're going to move forward with them so that we can cookie cutter them globally. Where do our responsibilities end and where do theirs begin? How are we going to source the material? Who's going to do what to whom? And that's a smart way of moving forward. And I don't want to, I don't want to generalize, George, but we're speaking with a Japanese trading company. Japanese are typically very conservative. I love the way they do business. They dot their I's, cross their T's. They're very conservative.
Very.
So an MOU coming from this type of entity is very different from the ones that many investors in Canada may have heard of in the past from other venture exchanges. This is huge for us.
So that part's great to know. So the second part of my question is, which is, because to get an MOU even started at a place like that, it's weeks of lawyers and VPs and everybody. So that's why they don't take the stuff lightly, unlike two juniors who just got signed an MOU, like I said, on an airplane. Now, $5.4 billion company, they got to move the needle. $2.7 billion in profits. By the way, that's a 50% profit margin. So I'm going to go into that question with you as well, which is these guys obviously like working on fat profit margins. This isn't a $5.4 billion company with $100 million in profits. But they're $5.4 billion. Why PyroGenesis at the end of the day for them on the DROSRITE side?
Look, George, I can't speak for them. And it would not be my place to speak for them. But you're right. They're a big company, and they look at opportunities that can help move the needle. I do know, we're dealing with the aluminum industry, not the steel industry, but steel slag has been processed on site with a very successful business model and has created several multi-billion-dollar blue chip companies.
Just off the slag, you're saying?
Just off the slag from steel. Now
I didn't know that.
We're introducing this model, the same type of model. I don't know if it's the first time, but with 20% recovery, increased recovery of metal, it's at this level. I would suggest it's the first time to the aluminum industry with I wouldn't call it a partner, with a strategic partner. Let's say a strategic relationship that is very well regarded, very strong, and has quite a bit of experience in doing tolling type of agreements. So maybe this has something to do with it. Maybe they saw a type of opportunity. They look at it as a huge opportunity. We do, and they know we do. But I can't speak for them. But George, I mean, if you connect the dots, maybe we're not too far from the truth.
Well, it sure sounds like it, right? And I'm going to ask you one more question to kind of cement it for me. Has this all been done through discussions over phones and this, or have they actually been to your facility, taking a look at how deep has their due diligence gone on their side?
They visited the plants where we have it operating. They visit our facilities. This has been long term in the making. We've spoken in our press releases many times, George, that we're in strategic relations to accelerate our business models in the different fields. When you look at what we've done in DROSRITE, I know some people complain, where's the next system? Where's the next system? But in reality, this has moved in the speed of light. This time last year, maybe a few months earlier, maybe 15 months ago, we were just completing our first system.
And now
Through
you're
that time, we've added on several more sales. We have gone into tolling. We've identified a strategic partner, and we're moving forward in tolling. I mean, it's lightning fast.
And you're already hit the ground running without the Japanese trading house. By the way, I didn't ask you their names. I won't, but I can't wait to find out who it is one day. But you've already hit the ground running. You've got 4 entities looking at 11 systems, and that's just from your own effort. So clearly, it's starting to prove out that there's big interest in this.
We have not jointly developed business relationships with this company. We have not gone out in the market together yet. We will.
This is all you so far.
We will as of tomorrow. What we told the marketplace was we have identified tolling as being the way to maximize the return from our IP in this product line. And once we realized that, we also told the market one of the reasons why we're not signing up contracts as quickly as we had projected in the past is because we're trying to convert as many of those sales to tolling opportunities. And right now, George, we're happy to announce the fact that we're actually talking to 4 very significant opportunities that need 11 systems. So each one needs more than one. Tolling. And we're not talking about just initial, we're talking about in-depth conversations. We've been spending a lot of time with these players who we thought may have wanted to buy a system, but actually, toll for them.
And some people may be asking, well, why would a company go to toll? Why would a customer do tolling as opposed to just buying it themselves? But the fact of the matter is, A, they don't have to lay out the capital. And B, they don't have to really worry about, it's kind of like us with servers. I guess all of us are our own service, but we're outsourcing it to Amazon at the end of the day, so we'd rather do that than
George, it's simply this. It's simply this. They have a business to run. They're a smelter. And that's how we got into it. A smelter comes up to us and says, listen, we love what you're saying. We love what you're doing. It's just not our business. We like the money you're going to save. Why don't you do it for us? And that's how we fell into it. We said, okay, let's look at it. And the margins, not the margins, but the revenue, the recurring revenue is huge. And it is actually, George, the way we can get maximum value from this IP. We can't get more value than operating it ourselves.
Yeah, that's exciting. That's exciting, Pete. So I can't wait to see what else comes of this and how fast this moves to JV officially, how fast these 4 entities take on some or all these 11 systems.
Yeah,
unbelievable. I'm going to ask you one more question. Is there a chance that you just don't end up selling systems anymore? And if I'm asking that question, you can't answer it, okay, but still I had to ask, because the question, you just go to strictly a SaaS model that they get, or DROSRITE as a service, as opposed to selling.
It's an interesting question, and we haven't crossed that bridge yet. Strategically, we're still selling systems, and we're getting into the tolling business. Insofar as somebody wants to buy a system and not toll, we're still selling them systems. But it's a good question. It's a good question, George. It's something that's going to be on the table at the next board meeting for sure.
Hey, if you come up with a name at the end of the day, it's DROSRITE as a service for DROSRITE. I just gave you your brand at the end of the day.
There you go.
All right. This gives great meaning to all the other business. So I'm going to ask you a quick question about everything else, because you are executing on so many levels. It's unbelievable. You brought DROSRITE from zero to where it is now in just under 18 months, which is unbelievable. What can we expect to see in respect to the other verticals, the 3D printing and the plasma torch?
On the U.S. Navy side, on the U.S. military side, we press released the fact that it looks like they're going to go for a 2-buy order for the waste treatment system on board the aircraft carrier. We're in the design in that. The last legislative hurdle was passed when it went through Congress. The request for increased money to buy the second system. I'm very confident that we're going to get a 2-buy order soon.
Each one of those systems goes for a ballpark revenue, how much?
Well, I think if it's a 2-buy system, we're going to have to offer discounts somewhere between $10 and $12 million, $10 and $13 million Canadian, which runs through the balance sheet around 12, 15, maybe a little longer months. That's a really nice baseline, because historically last year we made around $7 million, a little north of $7 million, and our 6 months is on track to do roughly the same. in revenues. We break even somewhere around 8, 9. So that's really sweet baseline for the next 15 months or so. And then you add the dross on top, and you can connect the dots there. So from the U.S. military, as we press released in the past, what to look for is a double order. And with respect to additive manufacturing, we've said it many, many times in our press releases and our MD&A. We're speaking to many, many players. Probably if you mention the name, we probably are doing something with them, sampling our powder, doing the analysis. Sometimes investors don't realize how long that takes. What we want to do strategically, what we want to do in the additive manufacturing industry is what we've done in DROSRITE, is team up with a strategic partner that can help accelerate our growth in that area. So that would be another thing to look for with respect within the additive manufacturing vertical. So I'm not saying anything out of school, George. I've been saying this time and time again.
And you're delivering that's the thing, you're delivering. If you weren't delivering and say, Peter's just talking a big game, big hopes, big dreams, wakes up every morning.
Well, George, I put my money where my mouth is.
Unbelievable.
When the stock was in the low 40s a couple of weeks ago, I put $2 million of my own money at a 50% premium, at 58 cents. Roughly 50% premium at 58 cents. So yeah, I'm not just talking it. I put my money where my mouth is.
No, and there's one thing you've done, Peter. That's why I used to call you by a different name, but we're not using that comparison anymore. But you are, and it's kind of like jumbo. It's kind of like jumbo shrimp, but you are the greatest small cap tech conglomerate.
Did you just call me a jumbo shrimp?
I'm calling your company jumbo shrimp because you're in the small cap space, but you're acting like a conglomerate. Which is
thank you very much.
With what you're doing, and you're the greatest I've ever seen, and I've been doing this for a long time. So yeah, I can't wait for what's going to be happening in the next 6-12 months. But it sounds like things are going fantastic.
It's taken us a long time to get here, George, but I think our investors should be very happy with what we announced today and how it's laying up for them in 2019.
Congratulations, Peter. Thanks for joining us, because I know that you had big news today. You probably got your phone ringing off the hook. You've got things to attend to. But keep it going. You're making us all proud. And everyone appreciates the fact that you not only do these videos, but for everyone who's watching this for the first time, Peter answers questions on the PyroGenesis forum on Agoracom. It's a CO verified forum. You'll see his check mark beside his name when he posts. So take advantage, ask him questions, get your answers, do your due diligence, because this is shaping up to be a great company, and we're excited for you to be with us.
We're still pinching ourselves, George, here. We're still pinching ourselves. It's really good news. Thank you very much for interviewing me today.
Have a great day, Peter. You've been watching Peter Pascali, President CEO at PyroGenesis Canada. The company trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the stock symbol PYR. To know more about this company, get to Agoracom, punch in the company's name or symbol, look at the profile, look at the information, watch a couple of videos that we've done just in 2018 to see how Peter's delivered on everything so far. And then get into the forums, ask your questions, get your answers, dive into your due diligence, and hopefully become a shareholder of this company for years to come. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a fantastic day, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, George.